Hi, and thanks for tuning in to the Ethanol Producer Magazine podcast. I am your host, Anna Simet, and I am here live from the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo trade show floor. And with me, I have Jim Saccone of Skyven. Jim, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you, Anna.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad to have you here. I think let's start by having you tell our viewers about Skyven Technologies and what you do there.
Absolutely. First, thanks for the opportunity to share what we do with your audience. I appreciate that. So at Skyven Technologies, we help industries to deeply decarbonize, by actually recovering some waste heat from a facility and using that combined with water to create steam. The steam that we create is clean emissions steam as well. It's emissions-free steam. The technology we use is called Arcturus. It's a steam-generating heat pump. Additionally, beyond the fact that we help to decarbonize, we also have on the technology side, we also have on the commercial side some innovative, unique models to go to market that helps with the challenges, some of the challenges of decarbonization today, which is how do I do it profitably and not spend a bunch of money.
Right.
So we have an energy as a service model that we use where we actually share savings with the customer, and it ends up resulting in significant scope run reductions of carbon and also avoidance of costs that they would have spent on other steam production systems. So they save money and decarbonize.
Okay. How long has Skyven been around?
The company's been around for over 10 years so far.
Okay. Very good. So what impact does your steam-generating heat pump have on the ethanol industry?
Very relevant question considering the audience.
Yeah.
So in the ethanol industry, there is a wide use of steam. It can be used for heating, can be used for evaporation, also the distillation process. So our system can be leveraged in any industry where there is a wide use of steam. Specific to ethanol, we hear a lot about needing to have a low carbon fuel and the desire to continue to decarbonize their fuel, their product. Carbon capture is one of the ways to do that. Well, carbon capture is done by capturing carbon from mostly the distillation process because it's a nice concentration of carbon that's not very expensive to capture. We are talking about removing carbon by not burning natural gas in a boiler system, which is not what's used for carbon capture. So we're in a way complementary to carbon capture. We can help companies to advance their CI score or lower their CI score, I should say, even further than they could with carbon capture alone, or if they didn't even use carbon capture and used a system like ours to reduce their natural gas consumption. So CI score reduction is a big play in ethanol. The other thing in ethanol is, it's a commodity. So challenges for ethanol producers are how do I continue to maintain my profitability with commodity-based pricing? So in our model, using once again energy as a service model, we have the ability to help these companies to decarbonize and not spend an extra penny doing so, which really helps in a commodity-based pricing market.
Absolutely, every penny counts. So, what makes the Skyven industrial steam generating heat pump different than other industrial decarbonization options?
Thanks for the question. So I'd say that we have 3 different areas that makes us different and special. So first off, on the capital side, we can avoid companies' need to actually use their capital budgets to deploy our steam generating heat pump called Arcturus. There is no upfront capital whatsoever involved with our business model.
Wow.
So $0 up front. The payments begin during operation, but once again, those payments will be less than what they would have paid for, let's say, dirty steam production using, let's say, natural gas combustion. That's one area where we're different. A second area is through the technology itself, Arcturus. So we use mechanical vapor recompression to lift the temperature and pressure of a water vapor to meet the requirements of the facility's steam header in terms of both temperature and pressure. So we can get up to 420 Fahrenheit steam at 300 psi G, which is definitely meets the requirements within the ethanol industry and other industries as well. Also, the amount of mass flow that we can get through the system is pretty significant, up to 200,000 pounds per hour of steam we can produce with one system. So our technology is different in that other options that are out there can't reach those parameters.
Okay.
And I'd say third differentiation is the way we partner with our customers. We consider our customers partners in the process because in the energy as a service model, we're actually going to be owning and operating that system for them for maybe up to 20 years.
Oh.
So we're ingrained within the operations, at least for our steam generating heat pump. And I mentioned we don't have our customer have to use any capital.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we put in some of our own money to actually pay for the system up front. So if you think about that from a partnership perspective, we cannot even possibly pay back our initial investment unless our system is operating and operating at a high availability and reliability factor to produce the steam that's needed for our customers. So we're very much ingrained as a partnership approach. So those are the three things: the capital avoidance, the breakthrough of the technology itself called Arcturus, and then lastly, the way we partner for an operations with our customer.
Great answer. So you're electrifying steam production, correct?
Correct.
So with natural gas being cheap, how do you offset the price difference with electricity?
Really, really good question. So natural gas, if you've been looking at the natural gas market, actually there's been quite a rise in natural gas pricing over the past 6 months even. Actually, over the last year, it's been a 32% increase in natural gas pricing.
Wow.
So it is starting to rise. It was at historic lows,
Yeah.
right? So what we saw, a year ago was probably, who knows if we'll ever see it again. But still, it's not an expensive source of energy. So the way that we combat that is through what we call the coefficient of performance of our system. So coefficient of performance is a measure of the efficiency of the system. It's the amount of, once again, lift we need in the steam temperature and pressure from the input waste heat source that we have. Our COPs that we can reach on average are about 2.7. So compare that to other steam production methods to get a sense of why we can counteract low natural gas and maybe not as low electricity prices, is because a natural gas boiler, its efficiency is 0.83. So our system is 3 to 4 times more efficient than a natural gas boiler system.
Interesting. So what would you say are the main challenges that you see for companies wanting to decarbonize?
Once again, I'll go back to 3 things. Financially, how do you justify a decarbonization project is one of the main challenges. A second is there's a lot of amazing technologies that are coming out that are being engineered. So much creativity has been inspired through decarbonization. Well, with that comes novel technologies. So there's an element of risk with that technology. And then lastly is, okay, if I'm going to use that technology, some of it is very tightly intertwined with my production.
Yeah.
So if that technology doesn't work, then I can't produce my product. So I think those 3 main risks are out there. We believe we address all 3. Right? So on the financial side, once again, it's the fact that we don't require capital and we share the savings with the customer through operation. So we're providing steam at a lower cost than natural gas. In the ethanol industry, another example of benefits that we can bring is the 45Z, right? Because we can help lower a customer's CI carbon intensity score, that customer can achieve more money through the 45Z program, which is a benefit they wouldn't achieve if they're burning natural gas. So we can share that benefit as well. So financially during the operations, we're saving because of the COP, we're potentially bringing in more money for the customer via 45Z benefits, and they don't have to spend money up front. On the technology side, mechanical vapor recompression it's a proven technology. It's been around for decades. We're doing a multi-stage approach to mechanical vapor recompression. So the technology working itself is not at risk. It's been proven. It's in operation right now. But what we do additionally is we install our system in parallel to our customer's existing steam production system. So if there happened to be a problem, they could continue to produce steam through their natural gas system. The other benefit of being in parallel kind of goes back to an earlier question you asked about counteracting natural gas with electricity. In certain cases, in certain states, let's say deregulated electrical markets, we can actually buy electricity on the wholesale market at a variable rate, which can be very inexpensive at times. And that's when we can run our tourists very affordably. If natural gas were to dip really, really low again, for a period of time, we could just have the customer use their existing natural gas system and not buy electricity for our system. So we have a way to offset that. So the technology risk, I think, is a second. And then I mentioned the third is the operations. Because we are in parallel, we don't really have any production risk. There's none whatsoever. We only interface at 2 points with the customer. We need to grab that waste heat to make them more efficient. And then once we generate steam, we need to inject it back into their steam header. So 2 places of interface. We can locate our system almost 2,000 feet away from the facility. So that allows us to really just require a 3-day turnaround event. So sometime when there's a 3-day turnaround event, we'll interface with those 2 systems and we don't interrupt their production whatsoever.
Very well explained, Jim. So my final question is, what's next for Skyven? So if we did a podcast a year from now, what updates do you expect to have?
So we've been focusing right now mostly on the United States because we were awarded $145 million from the Department of Energy's Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations to deploy our technology in the U.S.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was a lot of work that the company went through, and we were awarded back in March here in the news. So that's what we're focused on now.
Okay.
But a year from now, 2 years from now, we will be in international markets.
Very cool. Well, I sure have enjoyed this podcast, Jim. I've learned a lot, some great answers. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we wrap it up?
Well, we'd love the opportunity to help companies here in the ethanol industry to decarbonize profitably, and we have a very simple and fast process to determine if we think we can help you. We'll show you all the economics, and together work on a project that makes sense for our customers. So thanks again for the opportunity to speak.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. And to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time.